When I first started helping people with their marriages, I would meet with men and women together, and then I just met with them individually. And my expectation, this is going back to 2001, my expectation was that all the men would say, I'm not having enough sex in our marriage. Ironically, when I was a divorce mediator prior to my starting to help people, that was never the issue. No one ever got a divorce because they weren't getting enough sex from their wife. What was going on? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. And I'm going to give you, you could call it a technique towards the end of the video so you know what to do. But to be honest with you, of course I'm honest with you, if you don't have the background, it won't make any sense. So I'm going to delve into this, get into the psychophysiology of it all and the psychology of it, so you know exactly what's going on. I'm Paul Friedman. I'm founder of the Marriage Foundation. And I like to think more of myself as the guy who invented the right way to see marriage. Because when I started helping people with their marriages, I'm not a psychologist. I asked my friends, the psychologists who used to send me business as a divorce mediator, and I just didn't like how they did it. And to be perfectly honest with you, with all that I've learned now, they don't really understand marriage. The idea of marriage is to be happy. Part of happiness is having a good sexual relationship with your wife. And I know there's a lot of women who are watching this too to see if I'm correct. You're not going to have any problem with this video at all because I don't get into any weird stuff. So let's understand that men and women are very different. Let's understand that. Let's also understand that no one taught us how to see women. Now I'm speaking as a man, how to see women, especially through their eyes. In fact, we never learned how to understand women, and women don't understand women either. But that's besides the point, because there are certain drivers in our psyche that we have to take into consideration in order to have a good, healthy sexual relationship with our wife. The beginning, the fundamental, is understanding that they're not like us in terms of sex being a driver. Sex is never, well, I won't say never, but it's rarely a driver for women. Men, sex is like, whoa, okay, from the time we're little kids, we're like fed all of these, let's call it porn, all these porn ideas, seeing women, and I'm not getting politically correct here, but we're taught to see women as objects of our desires. And they have been for centuries and centuries. And so we got this twisted view of women, and then we get married, and all of a sudden we're supposed to see them as our soulmate. It's really difficult. So what has broken down here, because this has to be understood by you, what has broken down is the disconnect between seeing your wife as a sexual object who responds to sexual stimulation compared to a woman who has committed her life to you, where sex is something she does, but it's the flower on the plant of your marriage. Did that make sense? In other words, for you, sex is this thing. It's abstract. Sex. I'm horny. I want to have sex. I need sex. I want sex. But for a woman, rarely does that come into play. It's mostly a way for her to express love. She's not taught this either, by the way. But there's an expression that when a woman opens her legs, she's opening her heart. Unfortunately, this is not so true anymore, but it's still something you should keep in mind. Because what you want to do, you don't want to manipulate your wife, although the technique I'm going to give you is quasi-manipulative. You don't want to manipulate her into having sex, but you want to work with the fundamentals here, right? I mean, if you have a dog or a cat, then you can't treat your dog like a cat, and you can't treat your cat like a dog. It's fundamentally, they're different. Their psyche is very different. So with a woman, what drives her to have sex is very, very important for you to know. Now, I'm going to let you know this right off the bat. Just doing the technique I give you at the end of this video is going to work, but it's not something you can do all the time. What I really want you to know is what to do all the time, but how you need to become so that what you're doing all the time is natural and not something that you have to force yourself to do. The technique you can force yourself to do, and I'll give you all of the attributes and sort of parts of that, and you'll be able to pull it off. But I want you to enjoy your sex life all the time in your marriage. I want you to be where your wife wants you all the time, and she's ready for you all the time. That's the goal here, right? So I'll tell you what doesn't work. What doesn't work is for you to come home and go, let's have sex. That's not going to work. And what is going to work is if you set up this foundation of connection for her so that you're not like off-putting her by being the man and her being the object of your lust. Okay, and I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm not saying, your lust is evil or anything like this. It's not like that. So for men, lust is what happens. We feel it. And we're driven psychophysiologically to experience this lust because as men, we're designed biologically to have sex with any woman who walks by. We are. We're designed that way biologically. But as we evolve and we realize that doesn't really work for society, it really doesn't work for ourselves, then we evolve to the point eventually of recognizing that the woman who is your wife is your soul mate. Now, what do I mean by that? This is an important topic. A soulmate means that as a soul, she's the one who God has given to you to be connected to, not down there, not up here, because that's emotional, but here at the heart. You're meant to experience, and this is, think about this and accept this if you're smart. The whole idea of marriage, it's God's idea. I didn't invent marriage. God invented marriage. And this is not a religious thing. Well, it's a very spiritual thing, though. We strive for happiness. That's what we're looking for all the time. And you may think, well, yeah, that's why I want to have sex all the time. Real happiness that is not fleeting. Because after you have sex, not so much desire to be with the one you love. So what really brings happiness to us is love. Love is a fail-proof, foolproof way to experience happiness. And when we are connected to our soulmate, we experience love, the deep love that the mind cannot even comprehend. Think about it, and you'll agree with me. And it's that love, that connection, that creates more happiness than is imaginable. Now, imagine also that when you have that connection, I'm kind of like throwing something at you because I don't want to spend 2 hours on this video. Sex is not as important as the love. It's cool. As we would say when I was a kid, it's groovy. but it's not the most important thing. It's not even all that important. What's more important is experiencing that love because it produces an inner joy. And that's where your wife is at mostly. She wants that connection. Now, for her, because biology also created the dynamic between her as a soul and her as a body, for her, what's moving a lot of her is emotion. We want to transcend that emotion just like we want to transcend lust. And so, okay, I've got an online course for men which will really address all of this in such depth. It'll change your life, your married life. And for what you'll get, it's super inexpensive. But let's go back to this because I know I don't want to take you off topic. So your wife, who's more connected to her heart, but nature fools her and tells her that her experience of feeling is also the same as emotion, which it is not. So what you really want to do is you want to build this platform of connectivity with her, and you don't want to undermine this, and that's why the Course for Men is so important. You don't want to undermine that connectivity by doing dumb things. I'll give you an example. Most men have a problem with anger. In fact, in the online course, I deal with anger for men right away because it is a big, big problem for most men. May not be for you, but for most men, it is. Well, think of it this way in that context. Your wife married you as a protector. It's just the way it is. I'm not going to get into all that because, like I said, this can go on forever. So you're her protector. Now, let's do this analogy. You hired a bodyguard, and you're walking down the street with the bodyguard, and the bodyguard pulls out his gun, and he goes, "You know what I could do with this gun?" You're going to go, "I don't think I want to hire you as my bodyguard anymore." Because now what he's doing is he's taking this device which is used to protect you and kind of turning it against you. So your wife recognizes you have this male masculine power of protection, and when you express anger towards her, or even just anger in front of her, it kind of freaks her out at a very deep level. And I know in these macho movies it's not like that, but in real life it is. So those are the kinds of things you have to avoid. Okay, I think we've gotten into this enough. So what's going on for your wife is this need for you from the inside to be open to her, because a protector is protecting all of her attributes and isn't discerning between the part of her that likes to gab, the part of her that's always late, the part of her that's this or that. You protect all of her. You might say it's almost like, protecting a child. And from her point of view, she has to do the same thing with you. So you don't want to divert from that responsibility as her husband. So when you have it right, when you really learn how to be married with a full understanding of why, not just what to do, but why, then these attributes that you want to manifest come naturally. And so when they are, and here's the good news, when it's all natural, having sex with her is all natural too. You don't have to do anything special because you're already living a life that opens all of her doors. She doesn't have any of her doors closed because there's no fear going on. Again, I get into all this stuff, but you don't want to tweak the fear. So instead, what you want to do is create in her heart, in her mind, a loving openness for you that is never tainted. And it can be done. One of the things that I realized when I was creating this science of marriage is that the reason why there's so much unhappiness in marriage in our world is because no one broke the code. And the code is not a psychological code. It's psychophysiological, it's spiritual, it's heart, and it's understanding, and you just got to know it all. And then it works. It just works. Everything falls into place. And the people that I work with or used to work with, and I covered the gamut. When I was doing this, because I was working in San Diego County, and somehow an actor from the area where I was in Del Mar heard about me, and he came to see me. Very famous actor. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but he was in some Star Wars movies. Because that's a community up there, I started seeing all of these actors and actresses, and I was seeing screenwriters and cameramen and all these people in that industry. And I discovered that, the truth transcends no matter what you're doing. And the really good looking actors who I worked with, and I'm talking about like Tom Cruise level good looking, where you go, damn, I wish I looked like, they had the same problem. They had the same problem with their wife. And once you crack the code, it's not a problem anymore. And it becomes natural. And it's so cool. So I promised you a technique. I'm going to give you a technique. Now, here's how the technique works. And it's not so easy. But when you know it, in the evening, you two are going to be alone, or, she hasn't had a really tough day. That's very important. And you're going to be together, and you come home, and the first thing that I'm going to take you through this step by step, is you smile at her and you say to her, wow, what have you done? You look beautiful today. You're ravishing. What did you do to yourself? And then go do something. And she'll go, and you say, no, I'm serious, but go do something. Come back and smile. Be really kind, be really loving, and make sure you're all cleaned up, get yourself, and then bring out the present that you bought her. And bring out the poem that you wrote to her. And go up to her and say, I was thinking about how much I love you, and I bought this for you. I know it's no special occasion today, but I really love you, and I just wanted you to know. And, in some of you are going to go, well, that's transactional. Well, no, it's not. It's what you did when you were dating. It wasn't transactional then. You were expressing your love in a material way. That's all that is. That's not transactional, because you can't expect. If you have an expectation that you're going to have sex by doing this, get rid of that. It'll work, but get rid of that expectation and just be really nice and ask her how her day went, and then really, really, really listen and look at her in her eyes and go, uh-huh, and listen and understand where she's coming from. And while she's talking, say, I want to hear the rest of this, but let's go out to eat. Let's do something really special tonight. Now, you know what that special is going to turn into, because you've done this before, but you might not have thought it through, but it's going to lead to you two romancing, and that's what you want. But don't have that as the final destination. And when you're having sex with her, don't have your mind on the sex. Have your mind on her beauty. Have your mind on the treasure that you're holding. How God has blessed you with this amazing woman, and you don't even deserve this. That this is the most amazing experience for you. That's where your head should be. That's where your thinking should be. And be grateful and happy and loving, and don't go, whatever you do, try your best to not even have an orgasm. I'm not kidding. A lot of men go, what? And I'm telling you, if you could have sex without having an orgasm, and don't go for pleasing her sexually, go for connecting your heart. Visualize your heart opening up to her and liquid love pouring from your heart to her. And for the women who are watching this, I know you're getting turned on by this, by thinking about your husband doing this with you, because that's how powerful this is. All right. And I just want you to know that we have everything that you need to turn your marriage from into wow. Take advantage of us. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. Like the video, subscribe. It'll just take you a second. And we'll see you next time. God bless you. Now, if your marriage is doing okay, but you could use a little help, you can just watch these videos. It's free. Or you could read my articles. They're free. Or you could take the next step. Get one of my books. We have 2 books. One is Lessons for a Happy Marriage, and the other is Breaking the Cycle. And the only difference is one is a little more complicated because I wrote Breaking the Cycle for when I started to train marriage counselors into our system. Now, if your marriage is really like, oh my God, I don't know how long I could take this, then by all means, don't worry about the money. There's plans that start for less than $10 a week. Get the online course. We have one for women and we have one for men. They're both spectacular. And if both of you, and it's rare, but go to our website. And if your spouse wants to sign up too, they can, but later. First, you find out what it's all about. One thing I promise you is within days or weeks at the most, you will be blown away by the amazing changes that are happening already. God bless you. And please like this video, but more importantly, subscribe so you can get this entire series of the toxins that hit your marriage. I'm Paul Friedman. God bless you and take care.